got the full moon coming in a couple of days. I think it's Tuesday. And the moon last night was still pretty bright, probably between 89%, 100% illumination. And I intentionally came out to the woods a little later, because in my experience when the moon is bright like that, I'm usually bumping deer first thing in the morning, because they're still feeding, and I imagine they've been up all night feeding, just because it's a lot easier for them to see at night when the moon is bright. And I figure if they're feeding early in the morning, then they're gonna go nap for a couple hours before they get up again. So I came out a lot later than I normally would. It's about 10:30 right now, and the woods so far have been absolutely dead. Nothing like they were a couple weeks ago when I came out around this time, and they were just teeming with activity. I saw a wild turkey I took a shot at and missed. There were squirrels all over the place. I bumped a deer midday, and right now it is completely dead. If I listen hard, I can maybe hear some bird activity, but it's definitely quiet. My daughter texted me from her location. She's a little ways off, and yeah, she's absolutely got nothing. So we're just gonna wait it out a couple of hours and see if things change. Looking at the messages from some hunters, in other parts of the state. I really don't see too many people posting about activity. I saw a couple guys post that they saw deer on the way out to their stand, and I imagine that they took the early shift, so that must have been, like I said, probably closer to or before sunrise. Just as I kind of predict. I think I hear a squirrel. So that's a good sign. And yeah, I'm hoping Mr. Gobbler shows up again so I can get another opportunity at him. But we'll see how today goes. So I saw some other guys talking about how we get the full moon on Tuesday, and Wednesday to Thursday should be good days, because the morning's going to be really cold, and again, I always have the belief that hunting in deer during the day has nothing to do with the deer liking the cold, because again, I keep seeing guys post memes on Facebook about, well, not memes, but trail cam footage of deer up during the day in 70 to 80 degree weather, joking that, oh, the deer don't like the heat, huh? Well, again, it's not that they don't like the heat, in my opinion. Like, yeah, I think the heat, when it's extreme, can get pretty uncomfortable, but I think that really what's going on is when you get a cold morning, that's going to discourage the deer from feeding early in the morning. So they're going to hold out until it warms up a little. And, people always talk about photo period, as the daylight kind of constricts, you get more daytime activity. And that's because, if you have like a glass of water you have a glass of water, that's the effort at which the deer can exert its activity. If it's like fair conditions all 24 hours out of the day, you know, you take that glass of water and you can spill it out a little at a time throughout the day. And don't mind my pauses, I'm just kind of observing as I'm talking. And anyway, you take that glass of water, and you can just kind of, dump it out throughout the day. As a hunter, it's going to be hard to catch that deer dumping that water right at the right time. But now if you kind of change the rules, where if it's below a certain temperature, I guess you would call it temperature of tolerance, then you can only dump the water out in fair conditions. Say when it's, the weather is tolerable and you're not too cold to move around, then you're not able to dump that water, through the whole night when it's freezing, or even through the morning when it's freezing. And when that sun comes up, it starts warming the environment, and then the deer is able to dump its water. And that kind of focuses the deer activity, as it gets closer to winter, and there's less daylight and there's less of a window in which the deer is comfortable to move around and do its activity. So the hunter can focus his very limited time on that smaller window. And that window is getting smaller and smaller and smaller as the season progresses, so that we as hunters can increase our chance of seeing and harvesting a deer. had my YouTube account since 2012, and more recently I've been organizing some old videos and tending to it a little more, and now I've gotten my subscribers up to, I think as of today, around 74 subscribers, and I think as far as audience goes, I think I'd really like to see most of my audience local, but not to say like I don't want people from other places following me. I don't really care, but hunting I feel like is just so locale specific that I think it's just better to have a local following. For me personally, when I look up hunting videos on YouTube, it's like a lot of it's dominated by like western, like Texas, maybe plains type of hunters, and that's all great and all, but the information that they provide is really specific to their location and doesn't really do me much of any good at all. So of course, as I'm tending to my own channel a lot lately, YouTube is starting to peddle me videos all about how to be a successful YouTuber and all that. And the more I watch these videos, the more I feel like there is definitely a toxic culture within YouTube. I feel like it's a lot of it is being peddled by people that don't really have much to offer people. But they're still interested in being YouTubers, so people talking about finding a niche, and they're really just finding that niche just to get some sort of audience, and I don't know, it's just all very toxic to me. I think YouTube is a great platform for learning, and it's a great platform for society and humans in general, but you're always going to have those people that want to utilize it for popularity or wealth, but outside of YouTube they don't have anything to really offer. Not to say that I do, but been hunting for years, and I really enjoy teaching people what I know, and I don't claim to be any expert whatsoever. I kind of surround myself with hunters that have far more knowledge than me and are in a much better position to be teaching people than they do. But I'm learning myself, and I feel like one of the best ways to learn yourself is by also passing on what you have learned to other people, to kind of grab their hand and pull them up. So yeah, I'm not really interested in like gaming the system, stealing content, exploiting the algorithm or whatever. I don't know. I'm just more interested in posting videos that people might not be interested in, but whatever. I might even do, a lot of my videos are for my own archival purposes, I guess, and memory is a funny thing, so I feel like taking videos at specific times on specific dates is very helpful. especially in hunting, where I feel like you just have slow days and you have awesome days. Today seems to be a very slow day, so I really don't mind talking right now in the woods because, there's barely an animal making a noise right now, so I don't really, yeah, totally opposite of the couple of weeks ago. So, I'll mark this date and, I can look back at this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the line and be like, oh, why was that a slow day? Or why was that time of the day, of that particular day, slow? Because for all I know, in 2, 3 hours, things could be completely different. But that's the reason I'm on YouTube. And, I am sharing other people's content, but in a way that I think it's a good resource to other people. I mean, there's a wealth of knowledge in YouTube, and I think there's something to be said in organizing that existing content in a certain way to benefit any subscribers I might actually have. So is my channel going to be useful for some marketing or photography or media person in Indonesia or California? No. Is it going to be useful for all hunters? Probably not. But someone from around my area, like the New England area, might actually benefit for some of the information I put out there. And again, I am by no means any expert, but I do enjoy hunting and talking about it, and just through talking about it, I find other hunters also want to join that conversation, and I've definitely seen people become hunters themselves just through my discourse. So I think hunting is a good tradition. It's needed for conservation, and it's definitely a field that is kind of on the decline, just as people move towards a more technological world. But the funny thing is, people talk about climate change and destruction of the earth, and I mean, if you really look at it, it's the progression of society that's doing that. And we lived for thousands and thousands and thousands of years hunting and through traditional living, and we were just fine. And I feel like this whole destruction of the earth didn't start until about 50 to 100 years ago, and I feel like the world wants to both progress but also save the world, and I feel like those are just two opposing values. And I think sometimes we just gotta take a step back and look at a traditional means of living, and I don't know, maybe the Native Americans had it right, or they definitely did. And yeah, I don't know. I just like to look at how we did it for thousands of years, and I know I'm doing my part, I guess, as much as possible, but anyway. So it's a little past 11 o'clock. daughter texted me. She's getting a little more squirrel activity. And personally, I'm hearing a lot more activity. It's amazing how the woods can just erupt all at the same time. This has definitely been my experience hunting for years. It'll be completely dead, and then just for whatever reason, everything just happens to start at the same time. My daughter is also just texting me now that she might hear a deer, but hopefully she does. So this is a good sign that you can definitely hear all this difference in activity. But also on another note, I don't think you can underestimate the importance of bringing food and drinks while hunting to keep your energy up. I personally feel that apple juice boxes help, because that has calories in it that'll keep your mind going and your body alive, and fluids, to prevent dehydration. Even on a day trip, you're not really thinking in terms of survival, but it just helps keep you motivated and going through the day. As your body develops needs for So that was 2 gunshots. Someone may be squirrel hunting. There's a gun range about a mile away, but that actually sounded a lot closer than the actual gun range, so I don't know, there might have been another hunter. So as hunters, we have to really observe what's going on around us. As we're sitting out here, we're going to notice a squirrel might approach us and start chirping, as if to alarm other animals in the area of our presence. Birds will do the same thing. And we also have to be observant of that happening in the distance, because not only will they do that to us, but they will do that to other animals as well. Large mammals such as deer, coyote, maybe turkeys. So just by listening to what's going on around us. We might get a hint of something approaching, or if we feeling super ambitious, we might want to set up a spot and stock type of situation, because if we hear a squirrel chirping about 50 yards away, we might have some indication that there's actually a deer over there. So, just some thoughts. I just shot at a squirrel, and I missed a little to the right. I think possibly my bow is a little off, because when it was in the back of my car, the sight became a little loose, and I tightened it, and that might have actually thrown it off just like a hair. But the only issue with that is, yeah, I'm sure like a deer-sized target would be fine, but a tiny little squirrel, even just a little off, and it's gonna be an issue. So, yeah, I heard a squirrel, so I started stalking it, and it was on a tree, and I took the shot, and I missed, and I have no idea where the arrow went. I think it buried itself in the ground here. At over 60 pounds, the arrow's just gonna dig right into the ground. So I think that arrow might be a loss, I'm gonna guess, but I'm gonna keep looking a little, because they are not cheap. So, yeah. So this is definitely when it would be useful to have a climber tree stand, which I do have, but I don't have it with me. The activity around where I was hunting was getting a little too busy for my liking, so I moved on just for a while, because it's close to 1 o'clock now, and I feel like things kind of quiet down midday. Obviously movement's clustered around the sunrise and sunset, so doing a little brief scouting, and all the water levels are pretty low right now, so some of the traditional areas I know that have some stagnant water that I think deer like to drink from, kind of low right now, but I did find one little watering hole, and it's right there, and there are deer tracks around it, and looks like some freshly nudged woods flooring, like the leaves are kind of like moved around, so it looks like there has been activity here. So I'm gonna try and find a place to kind of sit. Just stay very still after I'm done with this video, maybe for an hour or two, and I don't know, see what happens. Not really expecting much, but yeah, I think closer to sunset I'm gonna make it back up to my typical area where I've seen deer. Again, closer to sunset, maybe the last couple hours if we even stay that long today, but yeah, we'll see how things go. fresh because I didn't notice those when I was walking this way earlier to set up at that other water hole. Those looked fresh to me. And he's stopping about that 30, 40 yards that way. But he knows I'm here. So I don't think there's a chance in hell I'm going to be able to sneak up on him. He definitely winded me for sure. So if you pack plenty of food, you'll be able to extend your stay a lot longer. Go through the whole day. Definitely start getting a little tired and fatigued. Looks like someone got my turkey. This was not here this morning, so that is exactly the 2 shotgun. Fiona! Hey, Fiona! This is the 2 shotgun shots we heard earlier. The 2 shotgun shots we heard earlier, it's this.